What's going on, guys? Let's see here. I think I'm going live. Oh, it's still loading. So I'm going to try this out. I think I'm on YouTube and Facebook at the same time. Maybe. Maybe not. So let's see here. Let me see what's going on. Anybody in there? Yep, it says I'm live on Facebook. I check YouTube. Hey, Keith. Let's see here. I figure we might get a few more people in there. I'm trying to look at it on my computer. I haven't used this OBS Studios for a while, like to do an actual live video. So let's see here. Oh yeah, it says I'm live. For watching on YouTube. Let's see. Turn the volume down. Hey Donald. Okay, here we go. So we're not even going to talk about the length. That's a whole nother battle. But anyway, not to start a war on coax, but I had a customer. He's had my box for over 2 years. He finally popped the pill. Just a little 2-pill base. So he sent it in. I put 2 new ones in it. And sent it back. And he's like, well, it started locking up all of a sudden. So he told me he had a 1-foot jumper, maybe a little longer, from the radio to the amp. And I told him that was probably his problem. And he's like, well, it didn't do it before. And I said, well, send it in and send me your jumper. I'd like to see if I can duplicate what it was doing. Because I asked him if he changed his antenna or anything. So he threw his jumper in a box. So we all know what the new, or a new one looks like. So not picking on him, but just to show you guys, there's I don't know if somebody tried to file that right there when they made it, like a long time ago, because this is old coax. But anyway, the grounds aren't soldered. This one here is pretty tight. It's still a little loose. You can see the braid sticking out of it. And it's all corroded. Now this is inside. So just imagine if that was outside, up in the wind, you know, and just the vibration and stuff. That's not going to stay very tight. So he sent this in with his amp. Luckily he didn't pop any pills. He shut it off. Just a little 2-pill. So now this side, you know, that looks good. Let's see, where's the camera? It's hard to do. Other than it's a little dirty, you know, like corroded there a little bit. But this side, it's way, way loose. Hopefully you guys can see that. So I know there's a lot of guys that bend that braid over and just tighten it down on there. But over time, that's going to loosen up and cause you some issues to that. And I don't know. Let's cut this off. Let's see if I can cut this off, because this is pretty much no good anyway. Let's see. Oh, there we go. So the only thing that was getting any connection was that center conductor. Yeah, you can kind of see where the copper's discolored. So guys, you put coax in there, man, I don't know. I can Usually you put that in there with the braid up here, tin it so it's not all flared out. Put your end on, and what I usually do, I have a smaller tip, and I'll put a daub of solder right in the hole right there. Of course, my phone's ringing. And if you don't have a hot enough soldering iron, if you tilt that up a little bit and take a little hand torch, not like a big like solder and pipe torch, just a little one, heat that up and that solder will run right down in on that braid, and it'll just wick it right in. But yeah, that was his issue. I hooked the box up, it works perfect. But yeah, if those grounds ain't soldered and over time, and like I said, that was on the inside of his house. I mean, that don't look too awful bad in there. I don't know. We'll compare it to a new one. It is quite a bit shinier. But I just figured I'd put that out there. You know, you guys spend a lot of money on amps. Not even my amps, you know, other builders and stuff. Make sure your grounds are soldered. That one there's loose too. I could probably pull it off. I didn't even unsolder that one. I didn't even cut it. I just pulled it off. But look how that's green in there and corroded. I don't know how he didn't pop his radio, actually, but just saying. Man, that stuff's got to be soldered, and the solder didn't even go down past the tip of that. Usually, now this one that I cut off was better because it was all the way down in there a little ways, but you guys see how that's green? I just hate to see somebody spend $2 grand on an amp and then have, you know, their grounds not soldered, and then as soon as they put power to it, that starts arcing, and eventually it's not going to get good connection. When you first make it, it'll probably work good. You know, everything's nice and clean. You know, a lot of you guys got a lot of humidity, and that stuff will sweat, draw moisture. And I'm not by any means doing this to try to sell coax. I don't really make a whole lot on it anyway. I just rather you guys not have any issues with my stuff or anybody else's stuff, because you know, if you got to keep fixing it, you can't spend money on different stuff. You know, if you want to upgrade eventually and you keep putting money into the same one, and you know, find out that a $5 jumper or $5 worth of coax, you know, cost you $600 and a set of pills, depending on the size of the amp, you know, over that not being grounded. But maybe I'll make a video showing you guys how I do it. So especially if I'm using a reducer, I'll use, oh, I got some old tips laying over here. I'll use like one of these little tips, because it kind of fits right almost in the hole, and I'll preheat it a little bit with the little torch, and then once I get a little ball of solder in there, I just heat it. I just heat it up and it'll suck it right in. So maybe I'll show that on video to help some of you guys out, because especially if you're doing big coax and it doesn't have the reducer. I don't know. This is RG8U. I've never messed with this stuff. How that center might just melt when you do it that way, I don't know. But that's the way I do, like the LMR 400. Some of the local guys, I make them some RG8X for their semis, because, you know, where they're out here in the oil field, they're always getting ripped open or something, you know, so. But yeah, that's the culprit. Look at that. That's green in there. But anyway, guys, hopefully that helps. And like I said, by any means, it wasn't to pick on anybody. I just wanted to put the information out there. If you're running an old jumper, and you can kind of see if it's got the braid sticking out of the back, that's probably not very good. But like I said, all my stuff I solder it. Anybody has any questions, I'll do a video showing how I do the bigger stuff and get the solder in there. Because if you pre-solder this, it doesn't take as much once you get this warm to get the solder to flow down in there. So anyway, guys, hopefully that helps some of you out, that, you know, just to let you know. And I think there's some coax that people are getting off of eBay. I don't know the name or the brand or whatever. I think they just fold that back and then screw the coax connector on, and then they put a $5 piece of good heat shrink on there. But it'll still loosen up, because my one buddy in Indiana, he sent me his. He was having issues, and it was the same thing like this, but his wasn't as green yet. I literally just pulled the end right off. I unsoldered the center conductor and pulled this off, and that was the part that was up on his ground plane, and it was making his 6-pill lock up. Actually burned his 4-pill up, and then he wanted to upgrade to a 6, and then while I was working on his box, he sent me his coax, and I cut the ends off, put new ends on it for him, and yeah, that was his issue, was it wasn't soldered to ground, and I just pulled it right off. But yeah. Alright guys, have a good one. I gotta get this bench cleaned up and go to UPS and make a few phone calls. Let's scroll down through here and see what we got. If anybody's got any questions. Let's see, I'm on both. I'm on YouTube too. I was trying to do a test to see if I could do a video on YouTube and Facebook at the same time. Remember, don't solder LMS type coax. Use the crimped, or don't use the foil shield. I don't know. I soldered the LMR UF Ultraflex, Joe, and I haven't had any issues with it. Well, Keith, he's got, I think he just used the radio, and I think he's just using a little unit in. Washington base on this 2-pill, so it probably didn't have enough power to burn the radio up, or because he checked the SWR on his antenna, I thought he said, and everything was good. So I don't know. I'll see. I might have enough coax to scrounge him up a jumper for it. But anyway, guys, have a good one. I'm gonna get out of here and make some phone calls. I need to run to UPS here in a minute, and I'm running out of room over here. I need to mail some stuff out. Anyway, guys, I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, who played the raffle. And I'm going to get with the IT guy, and we're going to try to make a direct link to where you don't have to log in or anything. You can just put your name and email in there or whatever. And then if you win, I'll email you. Alright, guys, have a good one. Appreciate it. YouTube guys, have a good one. I appreciate it. Dallas, you'll probably eventually watch this. I can't wait to hear you once you get your beam up. I know you've been working hard on it, and you about got her dialed in.